Hi everyone, Phil from Tech for Techs. Today we're going to be looking at this from Qnap. It's quite a unique product because it's basically a mesh system with network attached storage inside. And in basics what that means is it expands your wireless around your house or your business, and on top of that you can actually store information on it as well. So for example, you can back up all your data or share data on it. So it's sort of like a two-in-one system, which is quite unique. If you are interested in this, please look at the links in the description just below for best places to purchase it, as well as the latest prices online. Before we go on to the main video, if you would do us a favour, click that like button, subscribe, click the bell as well. That way you'll get notifications of new videos and live streams we do. Again, doing all these things helps support the channel, and helping to support the channel allows us to release more videos, better quality videos, and more content exclusively just for you. Okay, so we've got two boxes. So the first box is the main unit. So this is a mesh Wi-Fi system with built-in smart storage, or it says AI-powered storage, which basically means inside you'll be able to add, and you have to add this yourself, two 2.5-inch drives. So for example, two solid state drives or two traditional 2.5-inch laptop hard drives. It's got all your special features, tri-band, everything like that, mesh Wi-Fi, and obviously the storage. This is an extra satellite, which obviously allows it to extend the range of the wireless system, hence mesh. The more of these you've got, the more you can spread the signal around your house, or your business. So on the box, as you can see, it's got all the default information there. On the sides there's not much, it's pretty much a brown box with a couple of stickers on it. On the back of the box, it gives you a bit more information there. Obviously it's up to you if that's any good to you or not, but we'll put a lot of the specifications in the description just below. Okay, so this is everything what's in the boxes. So as you can see, there's quite a bit, so it can get a little bit confusing, but it's not too bad. But the first thing to note is plastic, 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 plastic. How many plastic bags do you need? There's more plastic in plastic bags than there is plastic in the product, near enough. So please guys, especially at the moment, with all the environmental stuff going off at the moment, climate things going off at the moment, COP26 or whatever it is going off at the moment, you really need to watch out on this plastics. Yes, it's recyclable, most of it, by the looks of it, with recycle marks, but that's not the point. These things are getting basically blown out into the seas and not being able to get recycled properly, and that's the whole point of it. So please cut down on the plastic. You could easily cover these in some sort of tissue paper instead, which is easily biodegradable, rather than plastic, 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 plastic everywhere. Right, onto the main product and what it comes with, other than all the plastic. So first of all, you've got your power brick there with your power cable. Obviously that will look slightly different depending on the country you're in. You've got an Ethernet cable as well to connect that up to your router or switch or whatever else you're connecting it to. You've got a manual as well, quick installation guide. I'm not sure how quick it is because it does look quite thick. Actually, it looks pretty short actually, because there's lots of different languages in there, so it is multilingual. So there's probably only about 2 or 3 pages in English. You've got a few screws. I'm guessing there's 8 in there. That'll be to screw the hard drives into the NAS itself, or the SSDs, depending on what you're screwing in there, as well as some foam packing. And then on the actual add-on mesh satellite, obviously you've got the satellite, you've got another network cable, and you've got a power cable which basically plugs straight in the wall without the actual adapter, as well as a quick start manual as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the two units. We'll look at the main unit first, which is basically the NAS, or the main actual unit, should we say. So as you can see, it's this sort of pastel bluish is probably the best way of putting it. It says Qnap on the front. You've got a WPS button on there as well for syncing up Wi-Fi with devices, which is good. On this side, you have actually got LED status lights, so it's good to have actually that on the side of the machine, so you don't have to look in the manual every 5 minutes to figure out what the lights mean on the front of the box. So that's a bonus. Obviously, you can peel that off if you don't want it, or stick it somewhere else potentially. On the other side, there isn't much other than ventilation, and then on the back, you've got a fan there. You've got your power button. It's got 2 USB 3 ports there as well. you've got 4 LAN connections, Ethernet, whatever you want to call them, connections there, as well as 1 there. So that's your host one. That'll be coming from your router or your network switch or the internet box, depending on what you want to call it, as well as a power connection and a reset button. These ones here are for adding additional items to the network. So it basically works like a network hub, switch, whatever you want to call it as well. So you can plug as many things, well, up to 4 items in there, which is a bonus. Now to open it up, to add your hard drives or SSDs, it's pretty simple. You basically pull forward on this little lip here and it comes out, okay? And then inside you've got your 2 drive bays there. Now these just pull out. You have to sort of put your finger in to the drawer and pull down, so like that. If you try and pull up from the bottom, it won't come out. You have to sort of put your finger in, push down and pull, and the drawer comes out. Then you can go and get your SSD or 2.5-inch hard drive or whatever it may be. Basically screw it into there with the provided screws, and then you slide it back in, and hey presto, away you go. Obviously I'm not going to do that now because I've not screwed it in, I don't want to break it. And then you've got another one there which allows you to add a second drive. I'm guessing those drives will probably be allowed to be raided together, so you can make one potentially backup or make it one large fast drive if you really wanted to, but we'll have a closer look at that in a few minutes in the software. Now let's have a look at the satellite. As you can see, the satellite's the same sort of colour. It's that pastel colour. You've got ventilation on there, it says Qnap. It does have a WPS button on the top. Well, at least I think it's WPS. It doesn't actually say what it is on the top. Let me just quickly check the manual, and let's hope it does say in the manual, but it doesn't seem to say exactly what that is. It doesn't mention what it is. That could potentially be, I don't see a sign of a power button, so that could be the power button or a WPS button, but we'll figure that one out in a few minutes. It's got more ventilation on the sides, as you can see there, as well as on the back. You've got a big ventilation area there. It's got room for 2 Ethernet connections, so not only will this extend your wireless range, you can also plug into Ethernet devices as well. So let's just say you've got a PC or a Mac or something like that, what doesn't have wireless built in, you can plug it directly in there with the Ethernet cable, even an Xbox, PlayStation, whatever, anything that's got an Ethernet connection. And it's also got a USB 3 connection on there, as well as the reset and where the power cable goes. One thing to note, bottom of both boxes, they do have rubber feet on the bottom, as well as some ventilation holes, which also helps vibrations and stops it sliding and moving about. It could potentially be a little bit top heavy, this one though. As you can see that, see, I'm wrecking it already. So as you can see, that can be a little bit top heavy, so just make sure you haven't got it on a unit or something where what's going to easily get banged because it might fall over. Okay, so I've put the 2 solid state drives inside of the NAS or the main master unit. I've connected an Ethernet cable up to the main socket. I've not used the one they've provided because our network switch is quite a bit of a distance away from this table, so I've used an extra long cable. Any cable will do as long as it's an Ethernet cable, you should be fine. And then obviously I've plugged the power cable in as well. Press the power button and then it's turning on. I wouldn't suggest moving this usually while it's in use, because if you've got a traditional hard drive you could potentially damage it, but generally solid state drives you should be alright. And as you can see, we've got some flashing lights on there. We've got a green light and a blue light on there. Let's have a look. I've been told also by my camera operator this is more of a seafoam green than a blue. I see it as blue. So pick your own colour, that's totally up to you. So let's have a quick look at the app. So to get the app on, first of all, you have to scan the QR code, which is in the manual. It'll take you to the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, depending on what type of phone you've got. And then basically you download it and open it, and it takes you to this screen here. Okay, let's have a closer look at the app itself. So as you can see, I've got the setup on my phone. Just downloaded it like it said in the instructions, pretty straightforward. It says, have you got an existing device, log on or set up new device? So obviously it's a new device. Asks you which one you're setting up. Obviously this is the Plus model, so I click on that one. And it says, hello, start setting it up. So I'm going to press start. It says power on the device. We've done all that already. It tells you network and storage connections, connect to the router and the Ethernet using the WAN port, and press the power button, which we've already done. Then you press next button, and it says check the device is ready. The device is ready when the LED flashes blue. It's flashing blue, you probably can't see it from there, but it was before. So you press next, and it's asking would we like to use Bluetooth, so I'll press OK. So now the Bluetooth is finding the device, which is good. So yeah, that's the device, so you press next. Then it says it's connecting up. And then it's wanting the MAC address off the bottom of the NAS. So that means I've got to turn it upside down now and find out what it is. So just bear with me 1 second. Pause. Okay, I've entered the last 6 digits from the router as it tells you to do there. So I've entered that in and you press next. Fingers crossed I've done that correctly. So that says it's talking. So it says select your location. So where are we going to have this? We're going to have this in our main office. So I'm going to press next. Obviously you click on the location, obviously where you're going to have it. This is mainly so you can find the device and you can pick out when you've got the app set up which device is where in your house. It's telling you the SSID there, that's basically the name it will pick up on the wireless. So if you get your, obviously connect your wireless phone to it, or your PC, laptop or whatever, and it'll ask for the wireless name, that's it there. You can change that, and it's asking to enter a password. I'm just going to put basic password in. Don't worry, I'm going to change it afterwards. This is just for your reference. So ABCD1235 ABCDE 1 2 3 4 5. Obviously I suggest doing something a little bit more secure than that. Once you've done that, press next, and it says you need to reconnect to it afterwards, so that's fine. So that's setting up the wireless now. So I'm guessing this could potentially take a few minutes. Okay, so now it says setup complete. If it prompts you halfway through, do you want to allow this onto your network, or do you want to allow it to swap your Wi-Fi? Obviously you need to press yes, and always yes. It says setup is complete, and that is it. If you wanted to add another node, like this node we've got, we won't show you now because it's basically going through and doing the same process, you just press add node, and then it will go through the whole procedure again and ask you to basically link up to that one and so forth, and then it connects them both together, so it extends your Wi-Fi, and we're going to test all that in a bit. But once you've done that, you just press finish. It's wanting a new password for your account settings. That's obviously to log into the settings on the router, or should I say on this mesh system, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to put in a random password, so excuse me 1 second. Okay, so I've put the password in, pressed apply, and they basically telling me now there's a firmware update, so it says tap next to do it, so you have to press next, let it go through. For some reason it says it's unable to. I'm going to press retry. It's failed again. Retry. Well, we'll skip it for now. Not sure why it's not going through. It says press next again. Oh, now it's doing it this time, so it's updating. So we just have to wait for this to go through and update now. So that might take a minute or two. Okay, so now what you have to do is set up this QMiroPlus or router, depending on what language you're listening in, and it basically says welcome blah blah blah. So you've got to click sign in using existing device or set up new device. It's a new device, so you click set up new device. Are we in China or global? Interesting how China's the only option other than everywhere else in the world. So global. Wait for it to go through. So it wants an email address and password, so I'm just going to do that. 1 second. Okay, so now what happens, it goes on to remote access settings. So it says specify a unique router and storage name that will allow you to remotely access this router. So that basically means you could just type a web address in on your computer anywhere, and this will let you get in, but you have to use your username and password. So I'm going to call this TFT, and let's see if it goes through. Next. Let's hope no one else has chosen the same login details. And unfortunately they have. So someone exists, so I'm calling this TFT Office. Bear in mind, all this will be wiped after the actual review, so you're not going to be able to log in if you try at home, to our device that is. There we go. So right, it says router setup is complete, or router setup is complete. Then press finish, and then it takes you to all the settings after it goes through and loads it all up, that is. So give it a few seconds. It tells you how to use it. It says tech menu to configure advanced settings. So you click menu and it will take you through the different settings. It's telling you all the tips of how to do everything. I'm not going to rate it anyway. But as you can see, it tells you here, is the internet connected? Yes. Is the mesh working? Yes. Is there any clients connected? It tells you how many. So I'm guessing you can click on that. You can see what's connected to it, which is pretty good. For example, you can click on it and it tells you all about it there. And you can even block that device for whatever reason. Let's just say you've got a staff member who comes into your business, or some kid who comes into your house and you don't want them accessing it in the future, you can block them, which is pretty good. It tells you up and down speed. You've got your wireless information and the password, which you'll be able to change on there, and you can also set up a guest network as well and set up a password as well. If you go onto the menu, you've got more options for network on there. So it lets you do the WAN settings, LAN settings, DCHP, port forwarding, server management as well. Or should I say service management, for example. If you click on that, it says add custom service ports and so forth. So you've got lots of different options on there depending on how you want to set it up, which is pretty straightforward for you. So that's pretty good. You've got wireless, so you can change your wireless settings on there. So obviously you can set up a guest network, which is currently off, or you can turn it on. That's so you can set up a separate network for, let's say, guests, people who come in the office which you don't want them accessing the rest of your network. So it gives them a separate username and password to log into the room, and basically it stops anyone messing about with your printers and your network and your storage and stuff like that. So that's pretty good. And you can also change the wireless settings there. You've got mesh settings on there. You can add another node. We'll try that in a few seconds because we do have this second node here. We'll plug that in and make sure that works. You've got clients on there, so as I said, it shows you the list of what's on the actual network. You've got a block list, parental control if you want it, and it's got even more settings there. So you've got firmware update, operation mode, restart and reset, and this is all through the app. And you can do this anywhere. You don't have to be at your house or office where this is. You could be at home and you can control the router at work and so forth. So yeah, it's all there, so it's pretty straightforward. So that's pretty good. So you've got everything there you should need. If you need to configure any more settings or anything, it does stay there. To configure advanced router settings, go to the interface. So go to a PC or a laptop, log into that address, what they gave you to begin with, which you chose, put your password in for your account, and bang, you should be in, and you'll be able to change even more options and so forth. You've even got error messages on here, so it tells you about what's going off. You can see here error messages. Basically, I know what that is. That's basically saying there's no internet connection because we unplugged it last night, but we left the device running. You've also got an option at the top left, 3 little lines, which will give you options to install a new router, as well as applications on here as well. So you can click on applications. You've got quite a few different ones on there: QSync, QI, Mage, QManager, and so forth. So if you open those up, you just click on each one. You have to download the actual software. So let's just say QManager. I'm going to press get, and then you have to tap your button on the side for your phone. It didn't go through. Try again. Needs a face scan. There we go. And it wants my password, which I'm not showing you. So as you can see, it's downloaded the app. It's going to open up. Do I want to allow it? Of course I do. So this is the monitor. So it shows you information you can swipe across. It tells you different informations and so forth. So I'm going to press start. It's going to ask region global. Yeah, that's it. And then done at the top. Yes, we want to allow blah 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 blah. And it should ask us, do you want to add a NAS? And hopefully it'll find it on here. And unfortunately it didn't find it, so we're going to do it via the ID. So I'm going to press via ID. I'm going to type in my username and password again, Okay, I've signed in, it's picking up the actual device, so I can click on it there. It's letting me show the passwords and so forth. I'm just going to press login. Oh, you've got to put your username and password for the device, so that's whatever you chose at the beginning. I think we used that ABCDE 1 2 3 4 5. Log in. And it says fail to connect, which is a bit of a pain. So let me just check that we are set up. And we are set up. So for some reason it doesn't want to connect. So that's not a good start. Okay, so what we're going to do is add this second node. So we're going to see if it's easy to do. So you just press on the add node option. It basically says configure it, put it where you're going to have it, blah, 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 blah. And it says it's searching for it. So fingers crossed. Sorry, check if the node is within wireless range of the modem. Well, it should be, they're right next to each other. Avoid corner placement of nodes. Check if the power LED is flashing blue. Well, it's not, it's green at the moment, so I'm guessing we have to wait for that for a few seconds to go blue. Okay, so something it doesn't say in the manual what you have to do when you plug it in and it goes green, it's not actually powered on, that's more like a standby mode. So then you have to press this button on the top, which I'm guessing is a power button. Then you try and add it via the app, and now I'm guessing it should find it. There we go. Select node, press next. Where's it going to be? So we said office for the other one. Let's just say other, and we'll call it, let's have a look. Custom room location, we'll call it. So the other one was office, we'll say studio. Studio B, okay? And press OK. And then it should deploy it and set it up, and then fingers crossed, they'll then both sync together. As I said, fingers crossed. Okay, so now it's saying unable to set up node. It says perform the following steps. Check the power status, restart the device. And it says unable to set up node. Again, perform the following steps. Okay, so we're going to try this again. We've restarted both of them, so let's hope this works. So menu, mesh, add node. Next, so it's searching for it. It knows it's there, so select node, which it won't let me select because it's the only one there, so it's auto selected. You press next. Instead of let's say other, let's just say it's in the living room just in case. Press next, and let's see if it deploys. So I can see that this is trying to connect because it's flashing. And finally it worked. So after having restarted both of the units back up, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times, it finally picks it up. So there we go. So we can see office and living room. So who knows what went wrong and why it didn't pick up or whatever. Who knows, but there we go. It does work. You don't have to plug in that second Ethernet cable. I didn't think you did. And now we've got a red light, which means what exactly? Let's have a check on the manual. Red means unable to connect to the master. Now it's gone green. Does that mean it's on standby? Does that mean it's booting? Let's have a look. Not even listed. So if we try and turn it on again, I'm presuming it's gone to standby. It may have not gone to standby. As you can see, it is not very clear from what's going off what the issue is, and if it's even on standby, if it's booting up. According to this, green means nothing because there is no such light as green in the manual, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. So I'm guessing we just turned it off. So I'm going to hold the button down again. I'm guessing that's going to turn it on, and we've got finally a blue light coming on. So I'm hoping that now means it's working and it's going to stay working, and it's not suddenly just going to go red again. Bear in mind, these things are basically right next to each other, so if they lose signal again, there's definitely an issue somewhere. But let's see how it goes, and the biggest telltale will be using it over time. I'm going to use this for a prolonged period, because obviously with the difficult setup, it doesn't fill me with confidence that they'll work 100%. They'll probably be absolutely fine, they'll do everything I'll ever want them to do, but again, if obviously they're not talking to each other, that doesn't help. Okay, after using this for a while, we've found that internet reliability seems to be fine on the main master one. The node, for some reason, every couple of hours decides to go beep, and then a red light comes on, lost connection, then it goes through, it seems like a restart procedure, it goes to green, then blue again, and connects back up. Which is strange, because no matter what room we've got it in, the same room as the master node or a different one, it does seem to lose connection every now and again. Don't get me wrong, 30 seconds later it's back up and running, but that could be potentially annoying, especially if you're doing something what needs to be connected all the time, like let's just say video conferencing and so forth. Once you've done all that and you've got it set up, and you do want to actually use the storage or any of the more advanced features in there, you do need to set that up separately, which is something else, which is a bit of a, excuse the language, ball ache, to be honest with you. I wish it was just one app, set everything up, hey, set your storage up, yeah, blah blah blah, all done. No, you have to install Qnap QFinder Pro, which you normally do on a NAS anyway if you've got a Qnap NAS. But it'd be nice to have it all in one app rather than messing around with all this. And it's saying server has not been initialized, so do you want to do this? So once you've installed Qnap, it picks up the router and everything, so and away you go. So you just press yes, then you have to go through the setup procedure to get that all done and set up. And it wants you to check warranty services, blah 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 blah. No, we're not interested in any of that rubbish. Welcome to setup. And then click the start button. Do we want to update the firmware? Okay, so the NAS name, so that's the name, and the password, yet another password for us to do. I'm going to use the same password as we were using before. Press next. It's asking for your time zone. Yeah, I'm in London, so that's correct. You can set it, say, manually and all this, that and the other. Press next. Obtain the IP address automatically, or you can use a static one. If you're not sure, use automatic. Then it's asking you what version of Windows, what operating system you're using. We're going to be using Windows, so we'll just leave it on the Windows selection. Then it's showing your username and password, or obviously stars the password out. You press apply, and then it's going to initialize the system, which initializing systems can sometimes take a little while. So I'm going to press initialize and then come back when it's done. And as you can see, it's coming up with a loading, so I'll see you in a few seconds. Okay, so after 7 to 8 minutes, we've finally got congratulations, and it's saying go to NAS management. So it wants us to log in yet again. Log in. And away we go. Data privacy information, yeah, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. You've got to scroll down. Yes, yes, yes. And it comes on to, hopefully, the NAS screen. And this will be a screen what most people are familiar with if you've used a NAS before. Especially QNAS. I have, so pretty much know how to use it. But for most people who are a home user, never used anything like this before, it may get confusing. So I suggest you Google what each of the apps, which are these boxes on the screen, it's like programs within here, do, because there's lots of different things you can do. You can even potentially download other apps as well to do other things, so it can get quite confusing if you're not sure. So if we go on to, for example, well, it tells us here as it's going through what they all do. It's saying, oh, there's a firmware update. We're not doing any more firmware updates. I'm not waiting another 2 hours. We've been filming this long enough. But it basically tells you how to do it, manage your things, manage all your different bits and so forth, manage your volume. You can see it says it's not created or not set up at the moment. So we need to go to storage and snapshots to do that. Yeah, we'll display that. So storage and snapshots, now it's letting us go there. And again, all this can get confusing if you're not sure, so again, read up about it. But we basically want to do new storage pool, yes, data collection agreements, all these terms and conditions, blah 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 blah. So that's going there. So there's no storage pool, so we basically click on the plus sign there, and then we press next, and it says which disks do you want to include, because we've got 2 SSDs which are 500 gig each. Obviously you can use larger. We're actually just going to be using this as a small backup for our current editing jobs, which are usually, to be honest with you, no more than about 300 gig, but it should be enough for just back up what we're currently doing. We also back up online as well, and onto a larger NAS, as well as an external drive. We've got quite a few backups anyway, but you just never know. So you just press next, basically keep pressing next. If you're not sure, press create, and then just press OK. And that will then create your actual system or your actual drive, what you can use, and that will then allow you to use it as network storage or backup or however you decide to do it. But it can be quite confusing for a new person. I wish they'd made make some simplified version for most home users. For example, when you start these things up, it'll say, do you want it in basic mode or advanced mode? And basic mode is just a case of pressing next, putting your name in, choosing a password, and pressing go. Simple as that. But unfortunately, it can be a bit more confusing. And then obviously, if you want all the in-depth stuff like this shows you, then obviously you can then go into the advanced mode, and then you can swap between the two if you really wanted to work into it. But for most people new to NASes, it can get quite confusing, especially if you're looking at a manned one like this one, which means basically you can go in and change settings and so forth, rather than a basic unmanned one which you just plug in and away you go. So there's no sort of in-between mode. But there we go, so that looks like it's done. It's saying, do you want to create a new volume on there? And you press next, 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 next. And you can basically tell it, do you want to call it anything and what size you want to use. Basically, you usually just press next, 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 finish. And then it's been created, and then it'll go through. And that'll take a little while as it's formatting. And as you can see, it says it's a thick volume at the moment. That doesn't mean it's stupid or anything like that if you're new to this. So basically it's going through, it's creating it now, and then we should have our storage drive, and then you should be able to, once it's done, pick it up through your network. Again, if you're not sure how to do that, again, you may have to look that up on a separate video. Or if you're not sure about all of this and you're confused, you could buy the equipment and call a technician to come around to your house and do it for you, or you could just call them in the first place and they'll tell you which is the best kit for what you need. Always trust your independence. Okay, so if you're wondering how you access that folder, now what you've created on the NAS so you can access it on your devices, you just need to go to your File Explorer on your computer, and then scroll down to the bottom what says network. If for any reason it pops up and says you haven't allowed network searching, sharing, anything like that, just tell it yes, allow. It might pop up with a ribbon at the top and say, do you want to allow it? Yes, 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 basically. And then you should see the name of your NAS there. And now, as we can see, it's right there. So we double click on that NAS. It may prompt you for your username and password the first time, but you can tick the box after you've put that username and password in, so it remembers it, and there you go. You can see your folders. It creates some subfolders. You can create other folders or share paths via the software or the web browser. So you could have one for homework, office work, personal pictures, one for Bob, one for Sue, one for Dan, and whatever else you want it for. You can create those, and then you basically go in each of these folders, let's just say home, and then you can store your information. So it'll just copy and paste like you would normally. You can access it directly. Bear in mind, it's always best to keep a copy of everything on your PC as well, or on another backup, because if you keep all your stuff on one device, if that one device goes down, you've lost everything. So, but there you go. So it should give you a rough idea, okay? I'm sorry, it's no easy way of doing it. It is quite complicated if you've never done a Qnap system before, or any other type of NAS before. It can be very confusing, especially when it's really two devices in one. It's a NAS and a mesh. It really gives you the instructions of the box how to set the mesh up, but it doesn't really say anything about how you set the NAS up, which is a little confusing. So you may need to look up different things to find different things. But as I said, there's lots of different apps. There's different apps for your phone, there's different apps for your tablet, different apps for your PC and laptop. What you can get within the software, which will tell you different information, and you can download and so forth. As you can see, since we've logged in, it's downloaded and put all these apps on here, which can get a bit confusing if you're not sure exactly what they all are. But there's things in there for backup, there's things in there so you can play videos via your TV and all sorts, and it even tells you things on here if you click the little dashboard at the top, how much of the processor and the memory and everything else is being used. So you've got all that there. So basically, Qnap are brilliant storage devices, or at least NAS devices. I use one for my personal and business work. Absolutely brilliant. It can take 4 discs. Well, hey, this one only takes 2, and they're only 2.5-inch drives. 2.5-inch hard drives are getting harder to get hold of because most people are moving over to solid state drives, so they can be a little bit more costly for at least the 2.5-inch versions. So you will have to obviously find the balance between size and your budget. But saying that, these things are absolutely brilliant. Mesh wise, we have had 1 or 2 issues with it dropping out now and again on the node or the satellite or whatever they want to call it, but otherwise it's worked and done everything we've asked it to do. It was a pain in the arse to set up. It didn't like being set up for the app. We had to restart the router or restart the main one and the satellite a few times. But fortunately, it did go through in the end. So I can see how confusing that could be, especially for a home user who's never done anything like this before. They're going to pull the hair out. And we were nearly on the phone to Qnap, or at least our vendor or representative at Qnap, actually asking him, hey, what's going off here? Because obviously we have been sent this for review. So bear in mind, this review is... So bear in mind, these products have been sent in for review, but again, they're all unbiased. And as we've stated, there are issues, especially in the setup and probably the ease of use, or how easy it is to use for a new person who's not used one of these devices before. It's just sort of like going straight in at a deep end. But otherwise, good product with a few niggly issues. Thank you for watching this video, everyone. It's really appreciated you made it all the way to the end. Please make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and even click that bell so you get notifications of new videos and live streams. It does help support the channel, and supporting the channel basically means that we can release more content for you and also better quality content going forward. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.